lightning inside me, son of a god. I'm like a titan that's rising, oh, just you watch. I'm stepping into fate, there is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me, this is how legends are made. Up on the throttle, victory is mine. Show you the harder the battle, harder I fight. I've come too far to quit. Step back, I'm going in. I'm cranking up on the throttle. This is how legends are made. Like iron from the fire, getting stronger. This is how legends are made. Above it all, untouchable, a new animal. This is how legends are made. Inside me, son of a god. I'm like a titan that's rising, oh, just you watch. I'm stepping into fate, there is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me, this is how legends are made. Up on the throttle, victory is mine. Show you the harder the battle, harder I fight. I've come too far to quit. Step back, I'm going in. I'm cranking up on the throttle. This is how legends are made. Like iron from the fire, getting stronger.
So if you are just joining us, I see that there is one person on the broadcast already. So you put something in the comment. If you are just joining us, I see that there is one person on the broadcast already. So just put a like emoji on this video, and of course put a comment in the chats and let me know who you are, your identity, so that I can welcome you properly to this live session tonight. So if you're just joining us, tonight is we're going to be looking at a very nuanced topic. The broad theme is mentorship, but this time around we're going to be taking a deep dive into a less talked about aspect of mentorship, right? And in the time we're going to be spending together, I believe that we are going to have that. I'm going to take us through a journey where that will help us, gain understanding of, this thing called mentorship. It's not something. It's not a broad. It's a broad term, of course, but it's not as spooky as so many people think it is, and it is not as simple. It's not as simple as so many people think it is, because one way or the other, you are going to be following somebody. And it's important that you vet whoever you're going to follow, because that is your primary responsibility to yourself. There's this saying in the Bible that says evil communication corrupts good manner, right? Good manners, right? So that's to tell us that ultimately who we choose to be influenced by, or who we follow rather, or who we communicate with from time to time will eventually determine our character, our mode of behavior, our language, our diction, and of course, at the end of the day, the course of our lives. There's the saying that you are going to be the same person you are today in the next 5 years, but for two things: the people you converse with, the people you relate with, and the books you read. The people you relate with and the books you read. So this is just one of those, those moments where we get to rub minds, where we get to talk about this issue called mentorship, and where we get to, we get to reevaluate ourselves again, reevaluate our relationships, reevaluate our mentorship, who is influencing us. We get more conscious of these things, and then put checks where checks need to be put. And of course, reevaluate, the influences around our lives, so that at the end of the day, we become the kind of person we actually want to become, not the one society throws at us. Because whether you like it or not, you're going to be influenced. The question of being influenced or not being influenced, that's not up to you. You are going to be influenced. Where you have a choice is you choosing who influences you. You understand? You are going to be choosing who influences you. That's the only point where you have a choice. Otherwise, whether or not to be influenced, you hardly have any choice. Yeah, there's a bit of choice there, but with time, constant exposure to a certain set of people, to a certain body of knowledge, to a certain circle, eventually that kind of exposure will eventually influence your behavior. So the control, without so much, let's not overestimate, it will be doing ourselves a disfavor when we overestimate our influence on, how quickly we can be influenced or how slowly we can be influenced. What you should control, what you should be concerned about is choosing your teachers, choosing those who mentor you, choosing those who you follow, right? And tonight I'm going to be talking briefly about picking your teachers and, of course, vetting your mentors. And then we're going to explore the theme of achievers versus analysts, as I put in the introductory post there. So quickly, I'm going to take us through a story There was this story that Malcolm Gladwell told in his book titled Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. I think I'm getting the subtitle right. I hope I'm getting the subtitle right. The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. I think that. So it's a book. It's a discourse on issues about. It's a very cerebral discourse actually. And when I read that book sometime last year for the umpteenth time, I noticed something, a recurring theme in the early chapters. And Malcolm Gladwell was arguing based on research now that most people don't even know, most successful people who are good at their craft, who are skilled at what they do, they hardly know the parameters, they hardly know the elements, the things that make them as good as they are. They hardly know it. They do it, they act it out, but they hardly know it. If you ask them a question, what did you do? What did you do to get here? How did you achieve these results? Research has shown that what they will tell you based on what they know and actual reality, there's a disparity there. For instance, there was this story Malcolm Gladwell was sharing in his book. He was talking about a baseball player who boasted that one of his strengths was his ability to see the ball from the moment it is being thrown from the other end up until few seconds before it touches the bat. Now, some researchers went on the background and they did a study, and they found out that it is not possible. It is not possible for a human eye to see a baseball moving at such speed few seconds before it hits the bat, or few milliseconds before it hits the bat. That it's not possible. And here was a player saying that that was the source of his strength. Now, after they found out, they did a little digging, they found out that actually what he thought was seeing the ball a few seconds before it touches the bat was his imagination. That was his thinking. That was his subconscious mind doing the trick. That was his subconscious mind. He had so mastered the movement of the ball, so much so that he could envision the ball, he could see it in his mind's eye so clearly that he thinks that he's actually seeing them through his physical eyes. I'll give you another example. It's about a lawn tennis player. And this lawn tennis player has a way of serving the ball. And one of the things that he said was his point of strength was his ability to roll his wrist in a way that makes, in a way that gives him, an edge over whoever his opponent is. And when we later found out, when studies were done, they took this computer scanner, they scanned his movements, they took it back to the lab, they took a video of his movement when he was actually serving the ball on the lawn tennis court in one of his tournaments, and one of his matches rather. And they took it back to the lab and analyzed it one after the other. And guess what they found? They found out that what he said, what he explained as the source of his strength or as the source of his genius versus what was actually playing out in the field were very different, very totally different. In fact, they later found out that he wasn't moving his wrist until a few seconds after he had served the ball. Now, if you asked him in maybe in an interview, he would tell you that, look, the secret to me serving the ball so well that my opponent cannot counter it is that there is a way I wiggle my wrist when I'm serving the ball. But when they took the videos of his serving back to the lab, they found out that he wasn't actually moving his wrist. Now, that goes to say that the guy, what he was saying, what he was explaining was very different from what he was actually doing. He had reached a point of unconscious competence that he couldn't really explain the things he was doing on that pitch that was giving him that kind of results. And that's why when you ask successful people, what did you do to get here? What did you do to get here? What did you do to get here? It's a very tricky question. Why? Because the likelihood of you being misled or the likelihood of them telling you what they know off their head is high, and you can run with that, and that may not even be anywhere close to what they're actually doing. For instance, if you ask me what got me to where I am today, I would most likely mention every other thing and leave out reading, daily reading. Why? Because I see daily reading as something I subconsciously do now. It's something I do almost every day. I wouldn't even consider it as part of the factors that made me to who I am today and is making me into the person I will be in the near future. Why? Because I've gotten so used to that routine that I don't even see it as part of the issues I should talk about when I'm being asked about the factors that made me who I am today. And there's this bias. And it's not like I'm trying to mislead you or anything, or any of these outlets trying to mislead those who interview them, who ask them questions. No, it is that human weakness that you cannot see the picture if you are in the frame, right? You are the one who is acting this way. You are the one who you are the one who is that athlete. You are the one who have gone far in whatever field of endeavor. The chances of you putting yourself under study and truly knowing what you do subconsciously to get to where you are is very slim. It will take somebody else, an independent mind, somebody studying you from the outside, right? It will take somebody who is studying you from the outside to actually get an accurate picture, right, of who you are, what you're actually doing, the principles you're applying to get you to where you are today. Okay, so I'm really going to rush through a bit of these things, and I really hope we'll get, in the Q&A session, I'll get to answer your questions. I'll get to see these things very clearly. Okay, now we do a lot of things without even knowing we're doing them. There was a time whenever I leave my house, I close the door, I lock the door, and by the time I'm maybe a few meters away, I'm already way outside the house. I try to remember, oh my goodness, did I close the door? Is the door closed? Is it jammed? And then if I'm not very far off the house, I rush back to the door and I try to find out whether or not I actually closed the door. And most of the time, 99% of the time, the door is locked. But I didn't even know when I did it. I'm sure it must have happened to you. That phenomenon must have happened to you. Maybe it could be your car, where you had closed the door of your car, and then you get into the building or wherever you're going, and then you suddenly realize that, okay, did I actually close this door or did I not? And then you go back and you check and you found out that it was actually closed, right? The question is, what were you thinking when you were doing that? That task had been delegated to your subconscious mind, and it's most likely that you may not even realize that you're doing it. So when you get to that point, when people get to that point of unconscious competence, there's a very high likelihood that even the very things that they are doing that makes them successful, they don't even know it 100%. And the chances of you getting the accurate picture, of getting the accurate knowledge, when you ask them just kind of how-to questions, the chances of you getting the right answers are very slim, because, hey, we see in parts, we all see in parts, and we don't know everything, not even ourselves. So I'm going to scale this down to picking your mentors. How does this relate to mentorship? How does this relate to you finding people who you want to be influenced by, whatever field of endeavor you have chosen? How do you relate this to mentorship? Now, there are two broad themes, two broad people I would like us to consider in this live session. We're going to be looking at the achievers, and we're going to be looking at the analysts. The achievers are people I just mentioned to you now. I just mentioned a very successful baseball player. I just mentioned a very successful lawn tennis player, right? Given that Malcolm Gladwell referenced in his book, Blink. And these people are experts in their field. They are successful people. They have done pretty well for themselves, okay? And these are high achievers. If you want to be like them, chances are that you will make the mistake of asking them what they are doing differently from their competition. You will make the question of maybe observing them, asking them questions that you believe their answers will be the most accurate. Achievers are people like Cristiano Ronaldo in the realm of football, Usain Bolt in the realm of race athletics, or in business, people such as Richard Branson, or the likes of Dangote, or you just name them, right? You just name them. Now, these are achievers. In the realm of mentors, these are the first category. They are the achievers. They have the results that could attract you. They have the requisite results that you want. They have the qualities that you admire. And there's very high likelihood that these people will get your attention. And so you're attracted to them. You want to be like them. You want to replicate their results. And most likely, you even want to surpass their results. Fine, it's a good thing. But one thing you must understand that if you focus all your attention on the achievers alone, you will be doing yourself a disservice. I hear people say stuff like, everybody I follow must be able to show their results. Everybody whoever must mentor me or whoever I want to be mentored by must have credible results to show for the achievements they have made, for the things they have accomplished and all of that. And we make these result-driven decisions when it comes to mentorship. And I'm coming to that. That is very important because, hey, if the blind lead the blind, both of them will fall into a ditch, the Bible says often, right? So there's that propensity to look at people who have made it, people who have achieved so much in whatever sphere of influence you want to follow, right? And there's that likelihood that you are going to be attracted by their results and you want to follow them, following their footprints. But then there's this category of people, this other category of people where these people don't have the results. I just mentioned that achievers have the results, but there's very high likelihood that whatever they tell you may not be the true picture because, like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, they may not know the very reasons why they are even successful, right? And this is where the analysts come into play. The analysts are people who, they don't necessarily have the kind of results that achievers have. They don't have the charisma, right? Sometimes they don't even have the looks that achievers have, right? An example of those kind of people could be Usain Bolt's coach, Glenn Mills, who had been coaching. He has by the way, he has an incredible track record with coaching people, okay? He has an incredible coaching record, but he has never won an Olympic gold medal before. He has never won an Olympic gold medal. He has never won a tournament. He has never won a race, right? In fact, heck, if you looked at him, if you looked at this guy, you would even know this. He doesn't look fit, okay? He's all pot-bellied. He has this, fat everywhere. He's just there, right? He's just there. He doesn't have the physique of an athlete, right? But this guy has trained one of the best athletes in the world today, which is Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world as of this live session. Came out of this guy. Now, this is an analyst. Analysts are people who don't necessarily have the results to show for it, but they understand the process. They understand achievers so much so that they coach achievers. They help achievers become achievers. I'll call them kingmakers. They may never become kings themselves, but they make kings. They are the one who crown king. They are the ones who crown kings in whatever sphere of influence. And I hope you know that all those business people, all those high achievers, the athletes, or whatever field you're looking at, all those high achievers have people in their lives that fit into the analyst category. They have coaches who are not well known. They have trainers who are not well known, who are not well famous, world famous as they are, right? And these are the people who make them who they are today. Okay? Now, the analysts are not necessarily people with the results, but they understand the process. They understand the dynamics of achieving results. And these people, when they coach you, when they lead you, when you allow them mentor you, they will make a genius. They will make a king out of you. But the problem with achievers is that, or the problem with us, most of the time, people who want to get mentored, is that achievers don't have, analysts now don't have the requisite kind of results to attract our attention. They don't have the results to attract or even keep your attention. So you would need an extra set of eye to be able to discern this kind of people. Okay? These people called analysts. They understand the process, the step-by-step process of achieving results, so much so that they can replicate it in your life. But they don't have the results themselves. But they can help other people achieve those results. These are the people we call analysts. Analysts end up being coaches. They end up being trainers. They may never win an Olympic gold medal themselves, but they will produce multiple award-winning, medal-winning athletes. They might not go on to be big business people in terms of maybe making it to the Forbes list, but the people they have produced are making it into Forbes list. So if you want to choose your mentors based on results alone, you will always be blinded to the analysts. You will only go for the achievers. And like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, there is a danger. There is a danger in focusing all your attention on achievers alone. Achievers are not 100% sure or accurate of what made them become who they are. Okay? I just gave the analogy of a tennis player who so successful, who is doing pretty well, who has won medals. But each time he's interviewed about the secret of his success, what he says and what he's actually doing as studied in the lab in Malcolm Gladwell's book, and there's the studies that Malcolm Gladwell cited in his book, are two different things. The tennis player say he winds his wrist in a certain way before he serves the ball. But when they took videos of him to the lab, they found out that he wasn't winding his wrist. All he was doing was very different from what he was telling other people on camera. And the other people whom he was telling that, he was mentoring on winding their wrist and all that, they were trying to wind their wrist and they were getting injuries, right? Now, he was innocently misleading them, but hey, this is one of the limitations of being an achiever. You don't have 100% knowledge of what you are doing or the practices that are making you as successful as you are. Okay? So, analysts, the achievers. Analysts and achievers. Achievers are those who already have the results. You need the balance of these two people in your life when it comes to mentorship. You always need the achiever to spur you, to help you see what is available, to help you see what is possible in the realm of possibility. You need achievers to, I would say in Nigerian parlance, ginger you to be able to aim for high stuff, to be able to aim higher, be the go-getter that you are. But you also need the analysts to show you the potholes, to show you the loopholes to avoid. Achievers will tell you, go for it, man. I believe in you. I believe in you. But the analysts will tell you, hey, when you get to this point, there's a danger that many people fall into here. This is what you would do to escape this danger. Do this, do that, do that, do that, and you're good to go. You hardly get that with achievers. You get that with analysts.
And if you're so lucky to have a mentor who is, of course, both an analyst or an achiever who has these traits, and let me just tell you that, of course, this is real life. Achievers will always have an analyst, a touch of analysts in them. Some analysts will also have some touch of achievements in them. Okay, so it's not some dichotomy or something. It's not like you have achievers on one end and then you have analysts on one end. No, it's usually going to be a mix of both, but one will always take the upper hand in whoever you find or whoever you're trying to court as a mentor. Okay, so with that said, I believe that you already understand or you already know the importance of having a mentor. But just in case you don't know, or just in case you're still, in the doubt of why you need a mentor, I'm just going to run a few things, run through this list I have here, and to tell you why you need a mentor. Number one, you need a mentor because your future is their present or even your past. If you're going to achieve anything in this life, you need somebody who has done it before. And that's where you need the achiever. The achiever is the person whose present is your future, or whose past is your future. Anyway, the person who is living in whose current living or whose current lifestyle or whose current result is something you aspire to get in the near future. Okay? You need their professional eyes. You need mentors because whether you like it or not, you need that set of professional eyes to tell you whether or not you're doing it right or whether or not you're doing it wrong. Okay? You need those set of professional eyes in whatever you're doing. Okay? You need their network. One of the important, one of the perks of having mentors is that they introduce you to their network of friends. And when you're within their network of friends, what happens is that you get to leverage this set of relationships. You get to leverage this set of relationships. You get to leverage their connections. And it gives you a huge advantage over your peers because doors that would normally not open to you are now opening to you because you have a mentor who has some influence in these spaces. And that gives you automatic access in some way. You will get free advice that costs others a fortune. That's point number 4. Why you need a mentor. You will get free advice that costs other people a fortune. Some people will learn later after making their mistakes. But what a mentor does for you is save you the mistakes up front so that you don't even have to pay with the time and sweat and the pain to learn those lessons. That's one of the importance of having a mentor. Another importance of having a mentor is that mentors are banks of opportunities. Mentors are banks of opportunities. There was this time where my mentor called me and said, hey, look, there's this competition going on. Why don't you apply for it? And he coached me through it. My writing mentor now, he coached me through it. I wrote the piece. He reviewed it. He saw it, edited it, and then we sent it. And then I won the contest, right? Number one, I didn't see the opportunity at first. Number two, there was no way I could have done it without his help. Yes, I wrote the piece, but again, through his professional eyes, he was able to go through it and give it a professional touch. And that gave me a hell of advantage over whoever my co-competitors. You get? So that's one other perk of having a mentor. Mentors are banks of opportunities. Mentors are banks of opportunities. Now, another reason for having a mentor, or another reason why you need a mentor, is that you need a learning compass. It's not enough to learn stuff. It's not enough to be knowledgeable. It's not enough to know what you want to learn. You must know the bits and pieces of information that makes up the kind of person you want to be. And that's where mentors come into play. Mentors are able to show you what you may be putting your energy in that is already a waste of time. Mentors will save you time and energy. They'll tell you, look, you know what? Don't even bother looking at this. This is where you should focus your attention. This is where you should put all your energy in. These are the places that will give you the right leverage. These are the places that will give you the best returns. Put it there, put your money there, do this, do that. Mentors save you the stress of having to figure it out all by yourself. Okay? Mentors, you need their warning. That's number 7. One of the reasons why you need a mentor. You need their warning. Mentors are people who warn other their mentees of the mistakes they're making. Okay? You need somebody to warn you, to bring you back to track whenever you are, whenever you're veering off track. All right? Your chances for success increases when you need a mentor. That's one of the reasons you need a mentor. Your chances for success increases astronomically when you have a mentor. Mentors will save you a lot of money. Yes, mentors will save you a lot of money. Some mistakes will cost you money, and some mentors will save you from mistakes. And that mistakes that you have been saved from will inevitably save you money. Okay? And lastly, mentors call you back to your senses when you are misbehaving, because we all have a tendency to misbehave. There's a mentor of mine who say we're all one decision from stupid. We are all one decision from stupid. So you need mentors to bring you back to order. You need mentors to give you that guiding light, to be that guiding light for you. You need mentors to, tell you when you're getting it wrong, to tell you when you're getting it right, to tell you when you're getting it wrong. Right for the purpose of encouragement, wrong for the purpose of admonition. Okay? This is why, or these are some of the reasons why you need a mentor. These are some of the reasons why you need a mentor. Okay? So, like I said, you need a mentor. You have to look out for achievers. You have to look out for analysts. These are people who don't have the results, but they know the systems. They know the process it takes to become an achiever. They may not be achievers themselves in the broad sense of achievers. Their results may not be so, glamorous, but they know the systems to get you there. All right. So before I close this session, this short session, I'm going to close with the points I think I have to share with you. It's 3 questions you should never ask your mentors. 3 questions you should never ask your mentors. Okay? 3 questions you should never ask your mentors. Number 1 question I have here, I jotted here is, how did you get here questions? Now, it looks great, or it sounds great to ask your mentors, how did you get here? How did you achieve this? How long did it take you to achieve this? How did you, those how-to questions, how to. I get this kind of question a lot, really. And I wonder if the person is asking for the roadmap I followed or the roadmap I would have followed based on what I know now. Because the truth is, your mentor has grown and keeps growing every day. So it makes practically little sense to ask them what they did to get them to where they are today. I think a wiser question would be to ask them, what would you do differently if you were to get to this place, if you were to start all over again to get yourself to this place, to where you are today? The nuance is very, very simple. The difference is not so much, but the results will be very powerful, I can assure you. How-to questions limit you to what the mentor did, which may not be applicable in your day and in your age. But questions that challenge them, that challenge your mentors, what would you do differently? Those kind of questions, they help you reap the benefits of time, right? Your mentors are able to go back in time and they're able to tell you what they would do differently, what mistakes they will avoid, what pitfalls they will avoid if they were to take that journey all over again. As a mentee, what you should ask is, how would you do it differently if you were to start all over? This point number 1. Point number 2, one thing you should never ask your mentor for is money. I know a lot of people have abused privileges. People have abused access to many great people who would have been a blessing in their lives just because they brought the issue of money into the equation. Money has severed a lot of relationships, especially mentor-mentee relationships. Now, I understand when your mentor wants to be of help to you, let them be of help to you. Okay? Let it be at their own volition, or let it be extremely necessary before you bring the money discussion into that relationship. Because when you bring money into it, a lot of things can go south. So one of the things you shouldn't ask your mentor is for money, because money changes the dynamics of a lot of relationships. What you don't want to do as a mentee is to ask your mentor for money, okay? Because it changes the dynamics of the relationship so much so that you may not even recognize the relationship far down the line, okay? Your mentor has put in his or her time and attention to guide you to where you are today. So the chances of you don't want to complicate things by asking for money, okay? It's a wrong turn, so avoid it. The third thing you shouldn't ask your mentor is step-by-step questions. Okay, you heard me right. Step-by-step questions. Step-by-step questions are, you don't want to get your mentor racking his brain or his or her brain trying to remember, nitty-gritties and all that. No, these people are no longer in the process zone. They are no longer in the operations zone. They are in the strategy zone. Okay, and much of what they do is big picture thinking, depending on if your mentor is, someone high up the ladder in whatever industry you're in. Okay, so big picture stuff is what has clouded their mind today. So as much as possible, you want to minimize the questions about step-by-step stuff. Step-by-step questions are not ideal for 2 reasons. Mentors are high flyers, right? Your mentors, or whoever you might choose to be your mentor, if they are an achiever, they are most likely high flyers, okay? And they are concerned with big picture stuff, not bits and pieces, all right? So besides, business and life are so dynamic that what worked for them may not work for you. So avoid the step-by-step questions, okay? What worked for them may not work for you. As much as possible, ask them big picture questions. Instead of saying, how did you invest? What and what stocks did you invest in to get to where you are today or to become financially free and all that? You ask them, what and what did you look out for before investing your money in this venture? What parameters did you take into cognizance when doing your due diligence before investing in a startup, before investing in this, before doing that? Or you could ask somebody who is maybe high up in the corporate ladder, what and what did you do? What decisions did you take at this so and so point in your career that got you to where you are today? These are the kind of questions you should be asking. So quit the ABC questions on issues and talk more on the big picture. All right. So with that, we have come to the end of tonight's session. I believe you got so much value. If you want to, I will leave the replay of this video here for you to see, for you to watch, if you want to go over it again. Right? Earlier I said, if you want to choose your mentors, choosing your mentors, you have to go for the achievers. But in as much as you want to go for achievers, be cognizant or be mindful of the analysts. Okay? Take note of the analysts too. Results are not the only parameters you should be looking out for when choosing a mentor. You should look out for knowledge of the process. Does this person know how to get me from point A to point B? Remember, kingmakers are not kings themselves, but they have made several kings. Kingmakers may not be kings themselves, but they have made several kings. That should stick, okay? So some of the people who will get you to where you are, from where you are now to where you want to be. They may not have gone there themselves, but they know the systems. They must have helped other people to get to where they are. Now you may be asking, so how do I discern analysts? How am I able to tell an analyst, differentiate an analyst, to tell what kind of analyst should I follow? The simple question is, look at the people they have produced. Look at people who call them mentor, right? Look at the quality of people they have produced, people who have passed under their tutelage. The quality of people who have passed under their tutelage. You should look out for these things, because some of the best kept secrets are locked in inferior packaging. Okay? So some of the mentors or the analysts that will take you from point A to point B, they don't necessarily have the looks. They don't have what you're looking for. They don't have the externalities of the results that might attract you. But they know the systems. They know how to get you there. Okay? So these and more you should be looking out for when choosing a mentor. Again, like I said, it is not always up to you to choose whether or not to be influenced. What you should be focused on is choosing who you want to be influenced by. When you take that your attention from whether or not you should be influenced, because you will be influenced. We'll all be influenced by somebody, knowingly or unknowingly. Okay? Take that attention and put it in choosing who you want to be influenced by. Okay? The Bible would always say that, can the blind lead the blind? The answer to that question is yes. The blind can lead the blind, but there's an implication to that. Both of them will fall into a ditch. The blind can surely lead the blind, but they will both fall into a ditch. So if you want to follow someone, make sure you vet their lives, make sure you vet their values, and you know that this is someone, these are values I want to embrace. Okay? Make sure you're cognizant of the achievers, make sure you're cognizant of the analysts. And I believe that if you keep this in mind, you will be able to make the right decisions when choosing your teachers. So thank you very much for joining this live session. I believe if you have any questions, put it in the comments. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. I'll be right there to answer your questions. Bye. Bye for now.
Inside me, son of a god. I'm like a titan that's rising, no, just you watch. I'm stepping into fate, there is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me, this is how legends are made. Up on the throttle, victory is mine. Show you the harder the battle, harder I fight. I've come too far to quit. Step back, I'm going in. I'm cranking up on the throttle. This is how legends are made. Like iron from the